I'm Caitlin Matson-Levy, and this is the Green Room on the Classical Cafe. We welcome today conductor Vlad Visirano, who is the guest conductor for the Salina Symphony Orchestra concert on May the 1st. But not only is he a guest conductor, he's also a finalist in their search for a brand new music director. Hello, Vlad. How are you?
Hi there, Caitlin. Happy to be here. And beautiful pronunciation on my name.
Well, it helps that we discussed it a little bit. Don't tell them my secrets. I shouldn't tell them our
It was all
secrets.
you. It was all you.
Well, welcome to Kansas. And I read a little bit about background information on you. I've looked at your website. It's always exciting to get to know someone new, and conductors especially, because I find that everybody's path to the decision to become a conductor is so different. So I'm going to start off by asking you, what was your main instrument?
Well, my main instrument was piano, and I also sang in choral ensembles as a sub bass. I think you could tell.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, that was kind of my introduction to music. Was at the piano for sure.
So when you entered college, were you a performance major?
Yeah. I mean, I actually started playing for real piano. I mean, for a professional pianist, you basically have to, if you want a career, with few exceptions, you pretty much have to start 4 years old, 5, 6 years old. It has to be a part of your life for some time. I started, I think I was 10.
Mhm.
So by some grace of God, I don't know what it was, I got into a college music program, UCLA, for piano performance, and that was just the beginning of my music career.
And then how did you kind of find a love for conducting? Was it during a conducting class or?
Well, conducting is kind of a strange profession because, again, with incredibly few exceptions, like I could probably count them on one hand. Uh, Conducting isn't something that you go into from the very beginning.
Mm.
It's not likely that when you're 10 years old, unless you're Lauren Mazel, which he was 10 years old when he first started, that you'll have access to an orchestra. I mean,
Right.
that's something that comes a lot later in life. And the usual process, let's say, is you start to make music through an instrument. And then at some point, usually at this point, it's around grad school. That's where conducting, I mean, that's where you decide you want to be a conductor, and you actually start in a master's program, and you have consistent access to an orchestra at that point.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, conducting, there's this great picture of me when I was about three years old with these headphones that were about 2 times the size of my head at the
Yeah.
time. I was listening, I believe it was to Linda Ronstadt, Just One Look, because that was the only record we had back then in Romania. And I was told, I don't actually remember this, but I was moving my head up and down, left and right, and back and forth, and I was, stomping left and right. So yeah, it wasn't conducting, obviously, but I think music was always very much a physical process, I guess, for me, since I guess the time I was very, very young.
And growing up in Romania, music was just in the household, would you say?
Well, I mean, it was to a degree, but I mean, I moved to the States when I was about 4.5, 5 years old.
Ah.
It was right after the revolution in
Mhm.
1989, and yeah, I have to say I don't remember too much myself, but my grandfather was very much a musician. I mean, he was in the Second World War. He was actually a prisoner in a Siberian camp, a prisoner of war camp, and he learned to play the violin.
Mm.
And then he came back. He taught violin, so it kind of runs in the family to some degree.
Do you make it back to Romania?
Oh yeah, all the time, a number of times a year now. I guess conduct there a lot.
So when you're not visiting Salina, Kansas, and obviously you do not take up residency in Romania currently, where do you call home?
I live right next to Los Angeles International Airport. I'm awoken constantly by planes overhead, but beautiful place to live. It's not too far from the ocean, not too far from downtown, the LA Phil, the Hollywood Bowl, stone's throw away. So it's yeah, that's what I call home.
All right, let's talk about this concert we have coming up with the Salina Symphony. My first question is, did you program this yourself?
I did almost entirely, but it was a very fortunate coincidence because when Adrian Allen asked me to come up with programs, the first thing she told me in a call was there's a concert sponsor, And he specifically asked for this one piano concerto. And at first I remember thinking, oh God, what is it going to be? What piece I've never heard of? And she said, Tchaikovsky piano concerto. I think I leapt out of my chair with joy at that point. So that was the only piece that I didn't actually program myself, but I would have happily programmed either way.
Give us a rundown of what's all on the program.
Yes, well, first we have this incredible piece by a new composer, Mason Bates. It's called Mothership. And it was actually commissioned by the YouTube Philharmonic, or the YouTube Symphony, I think they're actually called, by Michael Tilson Thomas. And it's quite literally a depiction of a spaceship that comes to Earth and it docks twice. And you actually hear, it's like a scherzo and trio in form, and you hear it's like a jazz infused techno piece.
Right. Well, he's into electronic musician, a DJ.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's a DJ, and you absolutely hear it. It's something. I mean, that's actually part of the reason why I call the theme of the concert symphonic dances, because there's this piece. First of all, I mean, you can dance. You can just get out of your chair and dance like you're in a club. It's just an incredibly modern and interesting style.
I just think we should all plan ahead to do that.
Yeah, I'll be doing it. Hey.
Let's do it. We'll come back and talk more about what's on the program, but let's take a break and listen to a little bit of music. This wonderful Tchaikovsky piano concerto that you speak about, it's one of those instances where I think most of us just instantly recognize these opening bars. So we'll listen to just a few moments of that, and we'll come back and we'll talk more with Vlad Visirano from the Salina Symphony. That luscious opening to the first movement of Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto No. 1. That is programmed on the Salina Symphony concert on May the 1st at 4 o'clock at the Stiefel Theater with pianist Lorraine Min. And I am speaking with Vlad Visirano, who is the guest conductor for this concert and also one of the finalists on the search for a new music director for the Salina Symphony. So Vlad, we were talking about what's all on the program. And we were talking about this contemporary piece by Mason Bates called Mothership. We just listened to the Tchaikovsky. What else is there?
Well, the last piece on the program is called Symphonic Dances, which is actually the name of the concert as well. And it's a really, really interesting piece because it was Rachmaninoff's last composition. In his career, he had done everything basically from conducting to piano performance and of course composition, and he always had to kind of balance them out. And he was known obviously for the two piano concertos, numbers 2 and 3, that pretty much put him on the map, and they still do. They're still known as the Titanic works of the piano repertoire. And for some reason, he just didn't have the same, let's say, success with composition in terms of purely symphonic writing. And he's having a lot more success now, 60 years later, 70 years later. But at first, he was just kind of known as the incredible pianist that can play anything with hands the size of Franz Liszt, that can reach across an entire keyboard. And, he'd pretty much given up on composition at this point. It was the late 30s, and according to his letters, he was pretty much concerned about his daughter getting a driver's license more than anything else at that point in his life. And he just had given up on composition. And then he decided, you know what, I think I have one more spark. And these are his words, I have one more spark in me. And this was it. This was his last composition, which is now among probably the most incredible orchestral compositions we have in the entire repertoire.
Mason Bates' Mothership, Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto No. 1 with Lorraine Min as a soloist, and then Sergei Rachmaninoff's Symphonic Dances round out the program for the May the 1st Salina Symphony concert. It's at 4 o'clock at the Stiefel. For tickets and information, go to salinasymphony.org. So Vlad, tell us a bit about what you wish you could bring to an organization like the Salina Symphony, in particular, speaking about, well, it's just it's like its whole genre all of itself. Yes, it is filled with professional musicians, but it's also filled with amateur musicians. It's filled with music teachers, and even some incredibly talented high school students fill in at times. Just tell us a little bit about how you envision enriching and cultivating the Salina Symphony?
Well, the thing that kind of struck me from pretty much even before I even got here, from the very first time that I spoke to the search committee, spoke to the executive director, and kind of got to know what the community is about from online. Incredibly artistic place. It's an artistically vibrant place, and there's so much to work with that. I guess to answer your question, what I would like to bring is to bring out the best in what's already here, which is, like I said, so much to work with. And, you know, the repertoire is sky's the limit. I think there's all kinds of things that can be done. There's old works in the standard canon that aren't performed, that should be performed. There's all kinds of new music, just like this piece, The Mason Bates, and so many others like it, which are just incredible. And they need to be performed. And there's so many collaborations, I think, that can be organized in this community. So I guess to answer your question, I wanna bring out the best in this place, and I think it'll be very easy to do because there's a lot to work with.
You've been eating well the past couple of days, correct?
Absolutely, some of the best food I've had so far.
Yes. Now,
So,
so what's the favorite thing that you've had so far? Do you have a favorite restaurant yet?
well, I'm still deciding on that one. I still have a number of restaurants to go through, so I'm going to suspend judgment for a little while. I just had the Godzilla roll, the sushi roll over here next door.
Mm.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. I'm actually about to go have another one soon.
Yes. Yes. I mean, this is just true Midwestern values. We are more than happy to welcome you into our communities. We're going to feed you really well, and then we're going to send you back fat and happy. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about here.
Count me in.
Food is love. Well, okay, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Now, every conductor who I ask this question to gives me the exact same answer. I say, well, what's your favorite piece of music? And they say, it's whatever I'm working on.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to ask you, in this moment, today on April the 21st, what is your most favorite piece of music today?
Gosh, it's like asking what's your favorite food. It's just painful.
It is painful.
I just feel bad
Well,
for this
maybe I can ask, what's something on repeat?
let's see, what have I been listening to a lot recently? Let's put that in there. Well, you know, I was actually listening this very morning before I got here. I was thinking of repertoire in general, what I might want to program someday with other orchestras and things. And here's a good answer. This is the most recent piece that I was listening to that I thought, hey, I'd love to program. And it was Vaughan Williams' Symphony number 7, I believe it is, the Antarctica.
Yes.
That's a piece that I've been wanting to program for some time. Haunting, absolutely makes you feel like you're there.
Yes, it does.
It gives you chills, quite literally.
Yes, it's a mammoth work, and it's something we don't have the opportunity to hear that often. I mean, it's a part of our playlist, but it probably only comes up maybe twice a year that it finds its way onto the air. You know, it's Mammoth and Link. It's just heavy.
In general, his works are, his orchestration is incredibly dense. So it's not every orchestra is able to do it, or have the forces for it. But hey, that would be on my list.
All right. Vlad Visirano, thank you so much for being here and talking with us in the green room. The Salina Symphony Orchestra concert is May the 1st at 4 o'clock in the Stiefel Theater. For tickets, go to salinasymphony.org. You can also go visit their social media sites. They're very active on social media, and they can always direct you to the right location. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic time in Salina. Keep eating well and have a wonderful concert.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. I hope to see you all there.